Hey, what's up, you guys? I know it's been a while since I did a video like this, but I'm doing another install video for my Nissan 350z. Now this time I'm installing a new radiator on my 350z, and the radiator that I chose to get is a Koyo Radiator right here. And the one I got is the older version, which is about 53 millimeters thick. So that's what I just wanted to point out. So, and one of the ways you can tell this is a 53 millimeter thick radiator core is the diagram that Koyo Rad shows on the website. So and this is some of the stuff I got to try to make this install go smoothly. And one of the things I got is a 3-gallon drain pan, a steel drain pan right here. And then I also got a spill-free funnel, which will make bleeding the air out on this car a lot easier to do. So sometimes you gotta spend, I know sometimes I hate to spend the money on stuff, but I'd rather do that to make the job go more smoothly. And then also right here, I got a gallon of distilled water and some engine coolant from Nissan. Now, I could have just went with any one of them coolants at one of the auto stores like the Auto Zones and the O'Reilly's, but I said, you know what? I decided I just can use OEM engine coolant, and one of the reasons why is because I was able to get a history report on the car I got right now, and let's say about a few years ago, this car had an engine coolant change at a Nissan dealership, and that's one way to know that this car mostly has, for all its life, it has had Nissan coolant. So one of the things I've done so far is I've removed the under tray. I've disconnected the fans. Hold on. I don't know if y'all can see. Yeah, I disconnected the fan ends, so the only thing left I have to do is drain this drain the coolant and remove these two 10mm bolts. I've already got the tabs loosened open, so I'll record later as the process goes. So I just removed the radiator about an hour later. Had to do some finagling around. So if you look at the stock radiator, check out how thin this radiator is. And I measured it too. And then if you take a look at the Koyo Radiator, it's a big difference. Main reason why I'm going with a bigger radiator is 2 months ago I did a road course event. Actually, I take that back. That was a time attack event through Grid Life at Joliet Autobahn. And that weekend that I went, the track temperatures were over 95 degrees both Saturday and Sunday. And 2 of the sessions that I ran, the coolant temperature, once I got on the track, it went from 194 to about 228 degrees within 5 to 7 minutes of pushing this car to the max. So I'm gonna install this radiator. I may have to do some modifications to try to make this fit. So I'll give y'all an update later. Oh, and a couple other things I forgot to point out too is you gotta disconnect the radiator hose, like this radiator hose and this one. Now I kind of had trouble trying to pull these off, so what I did was I dropped the fan from the bottom of the car, and then plus two, I had to finagle around with the the AC condenser to get the stock radiator off. So alright, just want to give y'all an update on the install of the Koyo Rad on my 350Z. So I managed to install it. I don't know if y'all can see the logo, but this is the new radiator on it. Now this took me about a couple of hours to do, and that's because the tabs that the brackets that are mounted on the AC condenser, it took me a while to try to line them up properly. And then it's another part too underneath the radiator where it goes, where the rubber stoppers go on the bottom part. So after playing around with it, I was able to fit all of this. I just reconnected my fan. I reconnected the radiator reservoir. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You can see it. I don't know if y'all could see, but that's that little the little tabs on the radiator. I'm at the condenser. So once I was able to get that fitted as well as this fitted, these luckily I didn't have to do any modifications and stuff like that like you would do with the newer radiator. I think it's the V version, I forget which one it is, where you might have to cut into the I forgot which part, but you might have to do, cut into part of the fan shroud. But anyway, the last part I'm about to do, I'm about to put the new coolant in, and I'll let you know in a little bit later. So I put some new coolant in, start the car, let it run for about 15-20 minutes. Now initially I was going to use the funnel, but unfortunately the cap that I was using, it wasn't sealing tight enough, and as a result, it was causing antifreeze to spill all over. So basically the way I did it, instead I decided to have the car running with the radiator cap open. And then what I did, let the temperature on the car get up to around, let's say, at least 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I gave it a few revs, like around between 3,000 to like 3,600 RPMs for about 15 seconds, and that will bleed out the air bubbles. So look like my the heater is hot enough. I'm about to clean up in this garage, and I'm about to do some data logs to see how this car will perform with the new radiator. I'll catch y'all later. Alright, so it's been about 3 weeks since I did this video install on the Koyo Radiator. Couple of things I want to point out. I initially mentioned that this was the 53mm thick core radiator, but I would like to make a correction on that. I did a couple comparison pictures, and it is the newer version 48mm thick Koyo Radiator. So I just want to point that out. Regardless, that this radiator is still bigger than the 36mm core radiator that Koyo Rad sells, and it's definitely a lot bigger than the factory radiator. The second thing is, usually I've heard and read from other people mentioning that this car is tricky to bleed out the air bubbles out of the coolant system, which really wasn't the case with me. It's just the key thing is, one, having the front of the car as high as possible on jack stands, and also having the heater setting turned to max, like as far as the temperature, have it turned to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and also the fan setting to medium to max. And with those two I ain't even have to open the bleeder valve like some people have done with the 350Zs and G35. All I had to do was just let the car get warm enough and then just rev it, and that's how I was able to get the air bubbles. The last thing I would like to point out is after I did that install, later on that day I decided to drive the car around and do a few data log pulls with the Uprev system I have with my car. So if you take a look at this graph right here, this is illustrating that I did a few open throttle pulls with my car, and you could tell from the coolant temperature in the graph that pretty much that the coolant temperature stayed under 200 degrees. And note, this was like a 2-minute and 50-second data log run that I did with the car using the Uprev software. And another thing I'd like to point out too, when I did this run, was the outside temperature was between 80 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And one way to illustrate that was off from the intake air temperature off the car. So that just gives you an idea. And this getting to another thing too. As far as keeping the car from overheating, regarding the coolant system, that depends on 3 factors. First, it depends on the temperature of the weather, especially if this was, let's say if the car was located in a really hot region like Texas, Arizona, California, Nevada, places like where you're most likely going to see temperatures higher than 95 degrees. That's when it would be best to do some coolant mods. That's one. 2, it also depends on other coolant mods that other people may do, like put a thermostat that opens sooner than the factory one, run a higher water to coolant ratio, or some people that are really serious about tracking their car, some may even do AC compressor delete, where basically you're removing the compressor and also removing the AC condenser, which one that allows for more airflow into the radiator, and also with the compressor removed off the engine, that takes the load off the engine of the car. And the third thing is the type of road course that you're planning to do. That also plays a big factor, and I'm gonna give you an example. I just did a road course / time attack event at Road America like 2 weeks ago, and the temperatures over there were between 60 degrees to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And I didn't get a chance to monitor it all the time, but the couple of sessions that I did monitor, the coolant temperatures didn't get above 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And one of the big factors is this racetrack got multiple sections where you're running the car above 120 miles an hour, which helps big time because that's getting a lot of airflow. At a racetrack like Joliet Autobahn or some other racetrack where you're not getting the car as fast, like a racetrack like Road America, Road Atlanta, or even some cases Mid-Ohio, that's when you'll know is that the car will run hotter, since with slower racetracks you're getting less airflow. So the bottom line is, I am satisfied with this product on my 350Z, and I'm about to end this video right now. Later.